Okay, happy 2016, everybody. Happy New Year's. So there are no jokes in this video that I plan to have anyways, but I wanted to just give my commentary on the future of video games. Not so much the history, but wouldn't it be crazy if it was Nintendo versus Sega once again? Now I'll tell you how that would be possible. Having an evenly console war, as it were, like it was in the Genesis and Super Nintendo days. Well, with all this news about Nintendo's new system and Sega wants to come back with Dreamcast 2 or whatever it's going to be called, and Microsoft won PS4, not really bringing anything to the table. Now Sony really hit its stride. It came out with the PlayStation 1. Nobody expected the makers of the Walkman to really do much, and they did. They did. Hit their stride with the PlayStation 2, not just in sales numbers, which is extraordinary sales numbers, but they also were doing the right thing. They were supporting upcoming software developers and things like that. God of War, Gran Turismo, Metal Gear Solid, what have you. And players were down for the cause because they were looking at it from the right angle. Microsoft sort of did the same. And then with Xbox 360, they profited from their support of online gaming and, you know, catering to the market's needs. Now they've kind of fallen off. They're taking the easy routes and they're doing what's expected of them so that they can make money. Sega would do well to remember this lesson that they learned. Now, not so much by going the easy route with the Saturn and Dreamcast or the Sega CD or the 32X or the Game Gear or the Nomad, but more from the perspective of knowing what it's all about. And that's something that Nintendo has seen year after year, decade after decade success. And I'll remind you of an ad for the Nintendo 64 that they published at E3 when they announced the Nintendo 64. It was a big ad about, the CD, what's it, and what you call it. Well, with all those gadgets, we remember what's most important, and that games are meant to be fun. And we make the most fun games. Not the most games, the most fun games. You would do well to remember that lesson. And Sony's looking at the market and they're like, well, you know what the world needs today? Turntables. Um, Microsoft looks at the market and they say, we need a free operating system. Just hand out to people. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. But Nintendo looks at the market and they say, hey, they're not satisfied with this one. Let's come out with the next one. Make it just as good, just better. What we want and what they want, so that everybody can be happy with a good product that's easy to program for, makes good games, blah blah blah. Sega would do well to copy that technique, or at least go for horsepower that's easy to program for. Okay. Sony didn't learn that lesson from PlayStation 2 because of its success. They didn't learn the lesson. So they came out with the PlayStation 3 with its 8-cell processors that nobody in the world knows how to program for. And you know what? It didn't come out the gate strong enough to really compensate for that. And competition that does that. And PlayStation 4 and Xbox One come out, and they are basically machines designed for PC ports. Now, the great part about a PC port is it can be ported to a tablet way easier than a home console. even with the 8 processors that are identical and all that stuff. You can port it to a Wii U if it's powerful enough. Um, and so that's what Nintendo is doing. They're taking their Power PC architecture or whatever it is they want to do that's easy to program for, and they're just going to make it powerful enough to take on the ports and compete that way. Even still, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are, they're not doing that well as you might expect. They're doing well, don't get me wrong, but Nintendo and Sega are in a prime position to take back the market from people who are sick of being given what they want. An artist's job is not to give you what you want, it's to give you what you didn't expect, to give you what you didn't know you wanted. So Sega Kickstarter, programs are so successful. They make just a superior product. I mean, nobody can argue with that from the results. At first, it looked like a big scam machine, but it turns out that Wasteland 2 and Shadowrun and all that stuff. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm not gonna bother. But Kung Fury gets 5 stars on Netflix. I don't know how that's possible, but y'all really like your Kickstarter stuff, so Sega's going that route, and Nintendo's just taking their massive bank of research and development funds, and they're like, all right, we'll make money now and come out with a better product that people will apparently pay for. Because hey, people will pay $400 year after year for an iPhone. They would. Hilariously, they would pay for the PlayStation 19 if it came out tomorrow, and it had been coming out year after year. Well, it people are just sick of it. Because think of it, how many times did you do that with your Xbox 360? You just bought the same system over again because it broke. There's never been a problem with Nintendo that I know of. Nintendo has been steady, strong and steady wins the race here. Sega fell off, and they learned their lessons very rapidly. The Dreamcast was amazing, and the American launch, not so much the Japanese. It was easy to program for. It was powerful. Arguably as powerful as a PlayStation 2 when you factor in easy to program for. Um, Sony was just a juggernaut though. Beat the GameCube, beat the Xbox. So now we learn it's not so much about being the juggernaut, so much as not really listening to the market, so much as learning the lessons from the market. And Sony and Microsoft are really just phoning it in. They're phoning it in. They're doing what is vinyl record stores are selling really well, so Sony's coming out with a turntable. Okay. I'm all for it. I love that thing. But there, how many times are you gonna play Call of Duty? Or, they used to call first-person shooters Doom clones. Now they pretty much call them Call of Duty clones. That that's a problem. We were supposed to be past that era, and now we're back into that era where PC ports and console ports and things like that. We talk about how bad they are of a port, as opposed to, oh man, a PlayStation can run Star Wars Dark Forces. Isn't that amazing? So, if you, I'm just hyped for it. I can't wait to see. I cannot wait to see Nintendo versus Sega once again. The good old days. Remember, Sega does what Nintendo don't. I'm sorry, that's a tongue twister. Genesis does what Nintendo don't. They should call it. What would you call it? Why don't you just call it the Genesis 2? Actually, that'd be cool. The Mega Genesis for my European people out there. I see that would be cool. Go with that. Dream Genesis. Ooh, the Dream Genie. I think that's copyrighted. But hey, as far as Nintendo, my advice to you, just to give you that leg up, is we didn't think it was a good name. Turned out to be an okay name. Don't get me wrong. You probably know what you're doing. Okay. Wii U we thought was a bad name. Turned out it didn't really matter. But I really like I really like Matt Mike Matei's idea of just calling it just Nintendo, like the Nintendo. That's Nintendo right on the front. And Model One. So that when you come out the next one, I don't know what to tell you. Nintendo Model One, but whatever it's called, I'm sure that it'll put you in. And a lot of people are gonna look at me like, oh, is that gonna happen like right away? You expect it to happen like tomorrow. We wake up and then Sony files for bankruptcy, which hey, it happened with the Dreamcast. People didn't expect it, but it was just overnight. But that may be. But more than likely, it'll be slowly becoming a four console race, and it'll even out maybe a little bit towards the middle, and then it's no longer profitable for Sony and Microsoft. When they come out and say that Tomb Raider selling 3 million copies is not successful enough to justify it, okay, that's what it means when AAA game development has become bloated and about the money and not about the artists doing what they want. Because people make games by themselves that are better than these $100 million budgets, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, and Nintendo never lost sight of that, not once. Hey, Wii doesn't have the most games in the world, but it has the Kirby game, it's got the Donkey Kong games, it's got the Mario games, it's got the Zelda games, it's got Super Mario Galaxy, and it's got some new stuff on there, No More Heroes and stuff. It's got good stuff on there. And the Wii U's got good stuff on there. And when people forget about Kirby Canvas Curse, even though it made the DS, a viable platform for artistic expression instead of a gimmick, they also forget about Kirby Canvas Curse itself, but Nintendo didn't. Nintendo didn't. Copyrighted. Um, and Sega, I mean, a lot of people forget they were ahead of the Super Nintendo for a bit, and then behind, and then ahead, and then behind. And at the end, what is it, 48 to 38? Looks a lot further than it really was, or whatever, like 40. I think it's maybe 41 to 38 or something. It was close. It was close. um, the reason they were so close is because of the quality of the software. When two companies that have their heart in the right place, that are making a superior product, not maybe in the graphics, but in the real quality of like your experience, okay? Then software, we reap the benefit as customers, as audience, if you will, with software. And when Sony and Microsoft are successful, do we really reap the benefits with excellent software? No, no, no. Every now and then, maybe. I'll remind you, Final Fantasy 13. Okay, just Mass Effect 3. Remember how much y'all bitch about all these games that come out for these systems because they are overhyped, they're a disappointment, but the graphics look just as good, if not better, than the other games you don't bitch about. And there's a reason for that, and that is that you can have all the processing power in the world. If it's not fun, you'll turn it off. There is something that emulates real life perfectly. There is, in fact, something that you can go look at that emulates real life perfectly. It has the best graphical fidelity in the world. It's called the world. I feel like I'm really in a room. Which, by the way, this VR thing, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying Super Mario Brothers shouldn't be VR. Some games shouldn't be VR. Okay. Um, so it's not everything in the world. And the iPhones and the tablets and stuff like that, those are like very lucrative markets, but it's hard to find the super quality stuff. A and B, there's a lot of crap out there trying to make a quick buck. So what ends up being most successful when there's so much competition from every different angle? And that is the market that Nintendo and Sega entered the console market in. Okay, there's a million Pong clones. There's a million Ataris and Intellivisions and ColecoVisions and Commodore 64s and VIC 20s. There was so much crap. Okay, a lot of people think Nintendo was the only one on the scene. No, incorrect. There was the Sega Master System, the SG-1000. What made Nintendo great is because they had the seal of quality. That was the difference. That was the key eh, difference is excellence. And Nintendo never lost sight of that. Some people never got sight of that. And Sony was content just letting people do their own things and supporting the developers and just hoping they do the right thing. But then they rose the standards in the wrong direction, in the expensive direction as opposed to the rare direction. Now you might confuse those two things to be the same thing, but they're not. Um, Expensive does not necessarily mean rare, and quality of artist is rare. Quality, not working your workers so hard so they can make the prettiest graphics that they can't go home to their wife. They're gonna quit, and it's called developer burnout, and it's a thing. Okay, whereas Nintendo doesn't do that. I mean, Sega's having a hard time, but they don't do that. And as you might be looking at the situation and be like, well, Wii U's not the most best thing ever, and well, the 3DS beats the Vita. Okay, but I'll say to this: the EA and Ubisoft, fuck you too. We don't care. Nobody cares. Who wants Assassin's Creed 27 and Madden 89? I think they even called it Madden 25 or something like that, didn't they? Okay, so nobody cares. Okay, virtue will win out in the end for sure, but really just doing the right thing, even if it's not virtuous, just it just works better for everybody. And the title of this video is going to be Nintendo versus Sega, and I'm not sure what people are going to think immediately, but I'm saying that's what it is now, and at least now that's what it will be coming up into the future, and it'll be a glorious age once again, and I can't wait. Um, who knows what'll happen after that? Honestly, beyond that, will Sony and Microsoft stop making their set-top boxes completely? I don't know. Okay, will they go back to doing whatever? I don't know. Okay, but they will certainly not be in the forefront anymore. Not only that, but nostalgia is a powerful factor, and nostalgia for the age when video games were at their artistic peak in people's minds. Um, and then like delivering on that nostalgia because now the video games really are at their artistic peak. You just have to exploit that and get good people in there. And who's gonna do that? It's not gonna be big mega corporations that also make a million other things. Phones and fucking thing. It's gonna be people who are focused on that one thing. Okay. Universal Studios doesn't make Hot Pockets, even though the movies are okay. But Weinstein Company doesn't make Hot Pockets. Okay, so there you go. So there you go. Nintendo versus Sega. It's coming. Pick your side now. Obviously, I'm a Nintendo guy, but Sega was always good to me. I love my Dreamcast. I wasn't always so good to Sega, so maybe I feel bad. I don't want to look them in the eye. So just stick with Nintendo. But just kidding. Uh, you know, let's just say I had all the money in the world. I'd have all the systems that are out now, even. You know. But if I could only have one system coming up, um, I suppose it would be the one that's $200, which knowing Nintendo, it's probably gonna be Nintendo. It's gonna be $200 or 250. Okay. So I can always respect that. So God bless you. Have a nice day, and stay safe and have fun, and pick a side. We're at war. Pick a side. To quote Stephen Colbert.